Hello, my name is Lucy Forbister and I'm a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu blue belt under Lee Kirtley at Innovation Jiu-Jitsu Academy. Today I wanted to go through, it's actually a requested video, I wanted to go through what I do for strength training for Jiu-Jitsu. Got to remember that I am still a blue belt, which I'm technically still a baby. I've only been in the sport 2 years. I've trained at Innovation for those years, apart from 4 months that I was in Australia and Bali, and that is legitimately the only thing that I missed from the UK, because I've got to give credit to Lee, the level of technique and delivery of that technique, that really is where I get my satisfaction from when I train jiu-jitsu. Learning the technique, hitting the techniques in training or in competition is very, very satisfying, and why I love the sport so much. For those that don't do jiu-jitsu, jiu-jitsu is what you do in the UFC and MMA. It is the groundwork. There is no striking. Basically play fighting on the floor, but there's no striking, so like a lot of technique to it, and it is very fun. Oh my god, my arm's aching. Without further ado, let's get into it. This is pretty much going to be me just explaining what I do. I'm not going to put any actual gym work in unless I need to explain something. I will write a program which I can eventually link below, or check out my socials for an update on that. I would say that you need general overall strength for upper body and lower body for jiu-jitsu, but there obviously is some specifics in there as well that we will get into. But depending on how many times you can get to the gym, 2 or 3 times, it will depend on what split you're doing. I've been doing upper body, lower body for 2 days a week. Felt like that was enough in terms of my energy levels when I was training. Since getting my blue belt, I definitely expend a lot less energy, so I probably could be doing way more in the gym than what I currently am. But for the 3-day split, push, pull, legs, it's important to think about your fatigue levels. Are you competing at the weekend? How important is the competition? Do you need to focus on not having DOMs for the competition? Don't really want to be training strength training before a competition that you want to be at peak condition for. At white belt, I made the mistake of burning out quite a lot because I strength train in the gym and also training for rounds and sparring. It's very easy to burn out. Squats are important, but you've got to realize how much energy they take away from you, and if you are training quite a lot and sparring, you don't want to burn out, you don't want to stress yourself out too much to the point where you're not recovering. I just nearly knocked my tea over. Specifics of training for jiu-jitsu. Clear with your rep ranges. High reps and low weight is for endurance. You're then stressing the muscle out for a longer period of time rather than stressing it out with high weights, low reps for strength or power training. It's important to play with both, potentially the long match time, the explosive movements that you might need in a match also. For those that don't know, I am a yoga instructor and a personal trainer, so I'm a general advocate for having a strong and able body to begin with. Outside of jiu-jitsu, balance is a key thing that you need in jiu-jitsu. Not only having the skill to know when your opponent is going to off-balance you and where to distribute your weight, this is going to come from having strong legs, having strong glutes, being able to stand there for maybe an extended period of time, having a strong core, and these things can be developed in the gym. Power, just need it overall, more specifically legs, push, pull, and in the glutes. We not only need strength and power in these positions, but we need to have endurance, like a 10-minute match eventually when you get to black belt, if that's what you go. I do go on the watt bike for cardio when I need it in the lead up to comp. And in terms of keeping yourself at that pace, depends how seriously you kind of wanting to take it. Mobility is being able to hold your leg in that position and the strength at that range. Flexibility is how wide the range is at the joint, and basically that can be against force. So mobility is kind of without force, flexibility is how far you can get it with force. I do this quite a lot with my yoga students. We'll extend our leg forwards. That will be your mobility as to where you can keep your leg. If you extend your leg forward and hold on to it with a strap, you might be able to get your leg further up. But considering the positions that we get ourselves in jiu-jitsu, I think it's very important to have the strength at the end ranges. Someone might be able to get in the squat position, but you might not have that much power coming from a very deep squat. So this is why it's so important just to have general flexibility and strength and mobility. And you know fine well that the older ones in jiu-jitsu really struggle with this. I'm nearly classed as old, so maybe not old, just classed as masters. Hey, I needed somewhere light because it is very grey in the UK right now. Thought I'd wrap this up with a couple of things what I think is important in terms of your programming. So I said push and pull days, back and chest are very important. Obviously we do quite a lot of pulling in the gi and also a lot of pushing, and we kind of push from T-Rex arms rather than like open grip. Work with overhand, underhand grip, not just like sticking to one back exercise or chest movement. It's kind of about using movements that can recreate. Like I'm not totally at the point where I'm really really mimicking movements that are in jiu-jitsu. So I think like I've got a good general base of strength, mobility and flexibility in the moment. I'm constantly working on that, don't get me wrong. It comes down to skill at the end of the day. There's no amount of strength work that you can do if you can't hit the technique in sparring rounds or competition rounds. Main muscles in the back, the lats, traps, and then you've got the chest muscles. Going down to the core, I think that it's important to do any sort of core work that you think is going to replicate the positions that you're in. So say we're playing guard on bottom position, we might need to be able to move quite a lot, have a strong core. So there's tons of core exercises from standing as well. RDLs are great for core, and that's why yoga is so good for core. If you can stay in a position like half moon pose, which is this pose, you're pretty much going to be able to withstand people trying to off balance you, etc. And yoga not only focuses on core but also connection with the ground from your feet through your legs up to your core and like right through to maybe your top hand in the position. We'll get to the glutes. So there's hip abduction, which is a way. We've got hip adduction. We also have hip extension, where it's like kicking back, and ensure that we're incorporating all of those. For example, we might need to withstand a position where our, like say butterfly guard, where our legs are abducted from our body, or we might need to adduct when we have someone in a body triangle. And I've been many a victim of very, very strong legs, and you can tell when people train when they've got you in a body triangle. So yeah, play around with different exercises for that. There's also tons of exercises for your glutes. Also look at the glute guy, because he is literally the best person to look for that. We'll go on to the legs. So it's important to have power endurance in most of these things. Deadlifts, squats, split squats, lunges, leg extensions for quads, the hamstrings, which I think are really important, because obviously you've got your glutes and the hamstrings on the back of your legs, which is all of the posterior chain that we need for power. The hamstrings, like RDLs, good mornings, hamstring curls, glute bridge. If you have specific weak areas, you can go and train in the gym and target that specific area. My kneecap's not tracking my knee, so I'm trying to strengthen all of the muscles around my knees, improve my balance even more. So strong from a single leg. It's going to benefit me a lot. I'm not a physio, so please seek help if you're struggling or you have an injury. Onto the calves, you need flexibility and strengthen them, because if you think about top position, on your toes a lot, and I think my body adapted quite a lot to this in the first year. You need the flexibility and mobility in your ankles to be able to be in that position for an extended period of time. There is many ways to skin a cat. I can write a program and I'll link it below. It's more so blue belt shit, general strength, mobility and flexibility to begin with, and I'm constantly improving that. So I will make another video if I ever get any more sport specific, but for now this is what I'm doing. And if you can't execute certain skills in competition or training, then maybe it's down to your skill set, not about your strength and size, although in some cases that does help. I hope this has been helpful. If you do have any comments, or if you want me to make another video on something else, I will be grateful for your requests. Thank you for watching, and peace out. See you on the next one.